What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, April 10th, 2026, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 14:17 Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you guys on the situation with Iran and other breaking news from around the world. So right now we have oil prices continuing to climb very slowly. We're at $98 a barrel. So the short-lived dip in oil prices was exactly that, short-lived. They're climbing back up to $100 a barrel. And we're going to have to wait and see what happens tomorrow with these peace talks in Pakistan. So we do have confirmation that Vice President Vance departed Washington, D.C. earlier today, this morning, and is now heading towards Pakistan. And we're also hearing that the Iranian delegation, made up of the Iranian foreign minister and the Iranian speaker of the parliament, are on their way to Pakistan. So these oil prices could shoot right back up to $110, $120 a barrel by Monday if the peace talks don't go well. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. And stocks are dropping as well because investors are still very uneasy about the prospects of peace between the U.S. and Iran. And Trump posted some comments on social media last night about Iran. He said there are reports that Iran is charging fees to tankers going through the Strait of Hormuz. They better not be, and if they are, they better stop now. He also said Iran is doing a very poor job of allowing oil to go through the Strait of Hormuz. That is not the agreement we have. And then he also said that you'll see oil start flowing with or without the help of Iran. And to me, it makes no difference either way. So some threatening words there from Trump. We'll have to wait and see what happens here. Totally insane situation. And the Kuwaiti army has announced that over the last 24 hours, they have been targeted by 7 Iranian drones. These drones targeted facilities belonging to the Kuwait National Guard and resulted in injuries among personnel. All are in stable condition. So very, very interesting. Kuwait is not happy about that. Also, Kuwait said yesterday, their Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that they reserve the right to self-defense, and that if Iran continues to launch drones at them, then they can attack Iran. Okay, we currently have a B-52 flying around the coast of Florida. This is actually very unusual. It flew all around Florida, so I don't know what's going on here. And this evening, the Orion space capsule is going to be landing in California somewhere, Southern California area. They have put out alerts that there could be some strong sonic booms as the Orion capsule re-enters the Earth's atmosphere somewhere off the coast of San Diego. So this was a historic mission, the first time in decades that astronauts from the U.S. circled the entire moon and got pictures from the far side of the moon, which is very interesting. And why are they so interested in the far side of the moon? I have no idea. But we know that the Chinese did a bunch of missions like 2 years ago to the far side of the moon. I think they sent rovers, or they sent some satellites over there. So there must be something on the far side of the moon that they're interested in. And before I continue with the breaking news, I wanted to mention the sponsor for this update, which is Matt Hat Jerky. Guys, if you're a beef jerky lover like myself, you got to try Matt Hat Jerky. This is the best beef jerky I've ever had. I personally met the owner of this company at SHOT Show, and he's actually local to Pennsylvania. This company has an interesting story behind it. He founded this company when he was 11 years old. Yeah, that's right, 11 years old. He's now 19. and he makes gourmet beef jerky, the best jerky I've ever had. He's got over a dozen different flavors, and it's all sourced with U.S. beef, so no foreign beef, no nitrates, and no MSG. So it's all natural American beef jerky. And if you use my promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And you got to go to matthatjerky.com. And I'm going to leave a link in the description down below. That's matthatjerky.com. One word, matthatjerky.com. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off your entire order, and the link and the promo code are in the description down below. And the Iranians don't seem to realize they have no cards other than a short-term extortion of the world by using international waterways. That's what Trump said today. The only reason they are alive today is to negotiate. So tough words there from Trump. And the maritime tracking firm Kepler told NBC that the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. Only one non-Iranian oil tanker transited since the ceasefire, and it was carrying very little crude oil. Okay, so even though the Strait of Hormuz has been reopened according to Iran and Trump, no ships want to go through it, okay, because it's still very dangerous. So, you know, it's going to take weeks and months, assuming that there is a peace deal that sticks, that holds, okay. It's going to take weeks and months for any ships to want to cross through the Strait of Hormuz, and ships are not going to want to pay a toll like Iran is demanding a toll. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. But just keep in mind that even if Trump says the strait is open, the companies ultimately decide if they want to send their oil tankers into a war zone, okay? And the Strait of Hormuz is still an active war zone. It just was an active war zone, and no company is going to want to suddenly start sending dozens of their ships through a war zone, okay? And last night, there were reports of over a dozen explosions in northern Tehran. We don't know what that was about. And the IDF Chief of Staff, General Eyal Zamir, said the IDF is in a state of war. We are not in a ceasefire. We continue to fight here in this sector. This is our primary combat zone. In Iran, we are in a ceasefire, and we can return to fighting there at any moment and in a very powerful way. So he was basically saying that we're not stopping launching strikes on Hezbollah, okay, but we will return to fighting if necessary in Iran. And all day today and yesterday, there have been missiles being launched at Israel from Lebanon. So Hezbollah is continuing to launch missiles at northern Israel, and then Israel responds by attacking Hezbollah positions. So even though there's this ceasefire in place, Israel and Hezbollah are still at war, okay? And multiple diplomatic sources told CBS News that Iran welcomed J.D. Vance's involvement in the negotiations, in particular because of Iranian distrust of Witkoff and Kushner. And following the recent wave of rocket attacks against northern Israel by Lebanese Hezbollah, the Israeli Air Force announced that they targeted and struck 10 rocket launchers that were used in the past to launch against Israel. And the IMF warned that the Iran conflict will leave permanent scars on the global economy. The head of the IMF is sounding the alarm, warning that even if peace is reached, the economic damage from the Iran war will not simply disappear. Global growth forecasts are already being downgraded as instability spreads across markets. Energy disruptions, supply chain breakdowns, and shaken investor confidence are rippling across nations, with some of the hardest impacts hitting vulnerable and oil-dependent economies. The conflict has already reversed economic momentum and triggered widespread uncertainty. Okay, so the head of the IMF is very concerned, warning that even if peace is reached, the economic damage will not disappear, okay? And Trump threatened to leave NATO and unloaded his frustration at NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte in their latest meeting, using the meeting as a venting session. An EU official says the conversation was nothing but a tirade of insults. Wow. And French President Emmanuel Macron will meet with Pope Leo today. Officials have confirmed the situation in the Middle East will be the main topic of conversation. And Israeli defense officials told a closed Knesset briefing, that's the Israeli parliament briefing, that Iran's new leadership is more extreme than its predecessor, contradicting what Trump said. Trump's been saying that the new leadership is more stable. Totally insane. And China pushed Iran to agree to a ceasefire in an attempt to win favor with the Trump administration. Xi Jinping aims to convince Trump that Taiwan is a breakaway province of China in their meeting next month. Wow, so very interesting. He wants Trump to side with him on the Taiwan situation, so that's going to be very interesting. And Japan says it's seeking alternative oil supply routes to reduce its reliance on the Strait of Hormuz amid the war. And Iran has reported enemy drone activity across multiple cities today, including Tehran and Tabriz. So I don't know who's launching these drones at Iran, but multiple cities across Iran reporting hostile enemy drones. And in a long ranting Truth Social post, President Trump launched a brutal attack against some of his strongest supporters, including conservative commentators Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones, who have recently begun to criticize Trump for the Iran war, Epstein files, and other moves that they consider against his agenda of MAGA and America First. Trump, in the post, called the above commentators low IQ, stupid people, nut jobs, and troublemakers with third-rate podcasts. Okay, so here's the actual post. You can read it for yourself. He's totally insane, just lashing out at everybody now. And two Taiwanese security officials told Reuters that China has deployed nearly 100 naval and Coast Guard vessels in and around the South and East China Seas this week. The same sources have told Reuters that the usual Chinese military vessel activity is recorded around 50 to 60 ships. They stress the current observed amount of Chinese vessels is very rare, so double the normal amount of Chinese military vessels. Absolutely insane. Okay, and Trump did endorse Viktor Orban. On Sunday, there's going to be huge elections in Hungary, and it looks like Orban and his party are set to lose control of the parliament, and that could change Hungary's direction as a country from being pro-Russian to pro-European. So we're going to have to watch that closely, and then we'll watch the peace talks in Pakistan very closely. But I don't think the peace talks are going to go over well, because Iran is doubling down on their demands for charging tolls through the Strait of Hormuz, being able to enrich uranium, being able to make missiles. Okay, Israel's not going to allow that anyway, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. But what's interesting is the past couple of days we've had a large movement of U.S. military cargo planes going from Germany down to the Middle East, and that continues today. You can see all of these C-17s here going down to the Middle East. They're typically going to Saudi Arabia and Qatar, okay, and then there's more C-17s coming in. It looks like we also have potentially J.D. Vance heading into Europe now to fly to Pakistan from Europe. You can see these two VIP planes coming in. And the Ukrainian military apparently shot down Iranian Shahed drones in multiple Middle Eastern countries during the Iran war, according to President Zelensky of Ukraine. He said this in his first public acknowledgement of the operations yesterday. So Ukraine was helping Middle Eastern countries to shoot down Iranian drones, okay, over the last few weeks. So this is huge news. And Polish F-16 and French Rafale fighter jets intercepted a Russian Ilyushin-20 reconnaissance plane over the Baltic Sea. The interception of the Russian plane, which was performing a reconnaissance mission, took place on April 8th. The Polish military notes that the Russians flew without a flight plan and with the transponder turned off. Okay, so very interesting. The Russians have not forgotten about Eastern Europe. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I might be back later on tonight with a live update or video. And until then, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified when I post these updates. Also, download my free app from the Google Play Store. The link is in the description down below. It lets me send out notifications directly to your phone when things are happening. And also follow me on Patreon. You can get all these updates ad-free on Patreon. And I always post my updates there first. There's priority for my Patreon members. And also you can direct message me over there. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.